Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of It Ain't Weak to Speak. My name is Sam Webb, and this show is dedicated to ending the stigma around mental health through community, connection, and the hard-hitting truth. I'll be speaking with guests from all over the world about life to inspire and to educate people to speak up so that we can save more lives. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Well, I'm looking at him. He's sitting on his veranda overlooking the beautiful Trig or Scarborough Beach there in Perth, mate. Welcome onto the podcast, Danny Green.
Hey, Sammy. How are you, champion?
Mate, I'm good. I appreciate you taking the time out today to come on. I know that you're amping to go for a wave after this, so I don't want to keep you too long, mate. How's things? What's been happening?
Same as us all, mate. But I guess here in Perth, in Australia, we're particularly shielded from this coronavirus. So we've been very lucky. The Premier here has shut the borders down real quick. The Prime Minister, did a lot of things really quickly. So, I mean, because we're so isolated and we don't have the population density that most other big countries like United States or Italy or Brazil that are really starting to cop it hard now and will have copped it hard from the get-go. We don't have that population density, so we're in a position to be able to contain it and be really, really safe. So in particular here in Perth, we're the most isolated city in the world. So, and we only have a population in this city of just over 2 million.
Oh, wow.
So we're able to contain it and deal with it really easily. So we are so blessed.
Yeah, it definitely helps, doesn't it, mate, when you got a not such a dense population in an area. I mean, like we compare to places like New York or California, especially LA, like there's almost as many people in LA and the surrounding LA areas as there in the entire of Australia. So
it's bizarre.
It's scary, mate. It's scary.
Yeah.
Mate, obviously wanted to talk. There's so many things we can chat about. Obviously, time is of the essence, but you've got things to do and you've achieved so much great things in your life, and you're still achieving so many great things, and you stand for certain things. And we'll talk about the Coward Punch campaign shortly. But what's been happening, mate, post the boxing career? What have you been up to?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's just been busy, mate. I guess I've been as busy as I was during it because I was kind of my own promoter and manager, as such. So I had a really hands-on role with my own career, as well as training and fucking winning the fight. So, there's a lot of pressure, a truckload of stress and pressure involved, a lot more pressure than the average fighter has on them because they're not, as involved and they're not running the show. But I also set up my gyms, my business for life after boxing while I was still boxing. So I was my man was, said, mate, you're going to set things up if you can, before you finish. So it's not such a shock to the, a massive transition. So it was pretty kind of seamless. I kind of moved in after boxing, finished boxing. That's hard to give away, really hard to walk away from it. But I already had things going on. So I was busy, maintained, what I was doing with the gyms. And, set them up 2014, and I had my last fight at the start of 2017. So it's kind of just been business as usual, and a few other projects come along, and I kind of dip my toes here and dip my toes there and have a look around here. I just keep busy, mate, but I'm fucking space cadet too, so it's always difficult because, I'm just like, I see a fly on the wall and go, oh, look at that. So,
easily distracted, mate.
Easily distracted. So,
how did you go about that in the ring, mate? When you saw, how did you stay so focused in the ring?
I don't know, mate. I really don't know. My mates laugh, and my family, my brother, mum, dad, my family just go, hey, we don't believe that you actually did that. Because I'm the world's biggest space cadet. But when I'd switch on, when the bell would go, or when I'd get in the ring, that was it, man. Everything just went shut out. I could hear my trainer. Sometimes there's 30,000 people in the stadium. Insane. I could hear my trainer's voice. I could hear my brother's voice. I could hear my two mates' voice that were in my corner that I tuned in before the fight. So the day before the fight, I said, boys, in the fight, BG and my brother, I said, I want you to say this only thing. I want you to say one thing only. Don't fucking confuse shit. Angelo's the trainer. He's calling the shots. And we're a good, tight team. I said, but don't confuse things. Don't get excited. If you think I'm dropping my left hand, if that's not your instructions for me to get my left hand up, don't say it. I want this guy to say it, that guy to say that. So my ears are tuned in to what they're saying, and they only say one thing throughout the whole thing. So it just keeps me constant. And the most important thing, like obviously keep your hand up. Hey, hands up, just get your hand up and pump the left. That was always my brother's thing. Just keep, because my jab was what I worked off. Just keep pumping the left, double jab, good jab, hands up, get the left up. If I get lazy, he'd go, lift your fucking hands up, you know. So, and then one of my other mates would be Brooker, who's just a mate of mine, wasn't involved in my boxing, but just two of my close mates. So I said, when I first turned pro, I said, hey boys, come in my corner and we'll just fucking have a bit of fun. I didn't know where to lead. And so we went around the world and it was great. And
that's amazing.
And their instructions might have been, you know, move to your right hand, because I might have been fighting a guy who was really, you know, left hook fucking heavy. So we moved to his right hand side to avoid his left hand, or what it may be, just certain instructions. So I learned to zone in and tune out to what's going on outside there, and just focus on the guy in front of me. And just my job is to break you down, to beat you down, to stop you doing what I want to do to you. And that was it. And so I really, really was, I guess I was super intense when I was in the ring. And then outside I was fucking...
Back to space cadetting.
Back to space cadet, yeah.
Mate, you're hilarious. What, mate? I've got so many questions around that. Like in terms of how you dealt with. You said earlier that a lot of the responsibilities, you know, promoting your own fights, a lot of the legwork you were doing, as well as preparations for the fights. You know, leading into the fight itself. So you're probably taking on a lot more stress and pressure than what your normal boxer in this day and age would be doing. How did you deal with all that, mate? How did you deal with all of that amongst everything else, headlines, media, and all that sort of shit?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I had a really good team. So I formed a team. My original coach was my promoter. And when I turned pro after the Olympic Games, he was my promoter and manager and trainer all in one, which was difficult. It's kind of a conflict, because your promoter, your manager can't screw the promoter for a better deal for his fighter if the bloke's the same fucking person. And he's the trainer.
Yeah, wow.
So it was kind of hard. My trainer would originally, back then, I turned pro under Jeff Fennick. And we did some great things. We won a world title together, but I just needed to move on and do something different. You know, Jeff had a lot of things going on. It was just complicated, you know, with his life, and you know, we just moved on. But we had some good times together, and we won a world title, as I said. And I learned a lot of things from Jeff. But also I realised early on that when I was fighting, people were coming to see me fight, and so I was. It's hard to talk about yourself in this way, but I was a draw card. So people were coming to see me, and I identified that. I knew that people were coming to watch me fight because of my style and what I was. I was just good, honest, walk-up fighter, so people enjoyed that. And then I didn't take myself too seriously. I was like, yeah, cool, fuck it, I'm going surfing. I'm out of here, catch you later, and see you next fight. And then so I guess, started getting a good following, and then I realised that people were coming to see me. So a very close friend of mine, who was also my promoter and manager as such after that, so he was a guy who would do all the black and white stuff, and he'd sign the deals and seal up all the contracts, but we'd obviously bounce things off each other, and we'd agree, and I'd go, no, I want this done, I want that done. He'd go, I think you should do this way, and I'd go, and we come to an agreement. So he was great. His name was Justin Manolicus, and been my mate since I was 9, and one of my best mates, and still is. So he was at the helm of Green Machine Boxing, and so then we formed a company, and we put a crew together, a promotional company called Green Machine Boxing, and we put our own fights. We started with the first one here in Perth in 2002, and sold the stadium out within. The stadium was sold out before the fight went ahead. So it was, and then just went from strength to strength. Then we promoted 3 of the biggest, and I was in the 3 biggest pay-per-view fights in Australian history, and 3 of the biggest crowds there, and the biggest grossing fights. And it was kind of like, I look back now and go, we still laughing. I'm fuck. A couple of space cadets, we did all right.
Yeah, you pulled it off. Very good, mate. Very good. So you guys promoted the Anthony Mundine fights too, yeah?
We promoted, we co-promoted. So Anthony Mundine's, the biggest fight in pay-per-view fight and the biggest numbers was me and Mundine first. The first one in 2006. Second biggest was me and Roy Jones Jr. in 2009.
And you knocked him out very quickly. We must add there.
yeah. And then I still fucking pinched myself. And the third one and myself's rematch in 2017, my last fight, we did that. And so, and Coda Nasser was Mundine's promoter. He's a stand-up guy, mate, straight up and down, as honest as the day is long. He rubs people the wrong way because he doesn't suffer fools, mate. Everyone thinks because he was Mundine's promoter manager that we didn't get along. I've got a world of respect for that man. He's a fucking great guy, and he respects us too, because we did both those fights on a handshake. No contracts, nothing. Handshakes.
Wow, really?
Unheard of.
That's
Unheard
insane.
of. But
Another biggest ones that happen in Australian. Yeah, you're kidding.
no, mate. And that's the kind of guy he is, and he knows that's the kind of guy kind of people we are. What we say we'll do. What he says he'll do, he does. And so he's a fucking awesome guy.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, we co-promoted the fights, those two there. And then myself and Roy, obviously, we did that Green Machine deal that. So, but then you got to take into account that I was almost my own publicist. I was kind of arranging all the media and doing all the media for it and getting all the media there, and then, you know, getting sponsorship and worrying, but sometimes worrying about what fucking napkins going to be on the table at the catering, you know, like
That
just crazy shit.
It shouldn't have been shouldn't normally have been your job. So yeah. So what's the importance of having such an amazing team then, do you reckon, and trusting that team?
Well, you're right in saying it shouldn't have been my job, but that's where the control freak in me comes out. So that was my own fault. So a lot of the stress was to my detriment, could have been avoided by myself. But I just, I learned, and my old man had some good sayings, but it's a classic one and it's an old one, but you want something done right, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
So sometimes I trusted things or put people in place that were doing jobs that they weren't getting done properly. So like, fuck it, I'll do it. But, you live and learn. But yeah, it was a matter of, another good saying my old man gave me that I stick by is number one thing that he told me is surround yourself with good people. So the people that I had working with me that we formed a team with Green Machine Boxing, they were all straight up and down, honest, and didn't give a flying fuck who I was. We were friends and family, whatever, and we just worked together. And yeah, ups and downs in any business. There's always success and failure. But it was just a matter of putting a good team together and then trusting in what they're going to do. And just letting it all play out. But I reckon in 10 years' time, I'll probably look back, if I can fucking remember what happened. I'll look back and just go, that's wild. It was pretty crazy.
You miss it? You miss fighting, like actual professionally fighting?
Yeah. I didn't really like the other shit, Sam. I didn't care for the publicity and the media and the press conferences and the fucking doing signings, and it was great because I really enjoyed the people. People is what I fought for. I miss the people because I actually, and I was kind of fighting back when I first started in 2001 up until, really 2010, 11, before social media came in. We didn't have social media, so you were just doing it for the people. Whereas nowadays, social media is just, I hate it. I've got it and I use it, but I'm not a prolific user. And I just find it's pretty toxic. But back then, we didn't have that shit. We just had the newspaper and the radio and the TV to get our publicity.
Old school stuff.
Fans rolled up to the fights because they'd see it in the paper. They didn't know about it on social media. They just come out. And I think 2010, I think it came out, or 2009, whatever, when we started using it for the fights. But yeah, I miss the fights, mate. I miss the training camp. The number one thing I miss is going into training camp and just sacrificing everything, going off the grog and just tuning in and zoning in as a fighter and just living, breathing, eating, being a professional fighter. I love that, mate. I love just every day getting up sore as fuck, training hard, punching on with my sparring partners, and then, just working towards a goal. I've got a goal here. That's where I want to be in the fight night. Start here 8 weeks out, just make my way up and get there. And then the fight itself is, fuck, mate, it's an insane rush. It's a fucking insane rush. It's so good, mate. And then that's what you miss, that rush, that adrenaline on fight day. And another thing you miss is, people probably don't realise, is when you're fighting and you're at your peak fitness, you are literally as fit as you can be. You're never going to be able to get any fitter. So when someone says, he hit his peak, you get to your peak and then you hit it and you hold it for a day or two or three and then you come down. So you can only get to your peak. So most AFL footballers, NRL footballers, they won't hit their peak. Their job's harder in effect because they've got to maintain about 80% all year through. Because if they hit their peak, because when someone hits their absolute peak fitness, can't get any fitter. And then you come down. You've got to come down. So you got to come down. So those guys go, you can't hold a peak for longer than 3 or 4 days max.
Wow.
So you hold that, and then you got to come down. So fighters go up and down, because we can hit our peak, because we can hit that for the event. So let's say, I don't know, I'm just thinking of another sport. I don't even know another sport. Like, the Olympics 100-meter run. Like Usain Bolt, he hits his peak when he hits that. So he doesn't compete every week like an AFL team does. He competes at world champs, Pan Pacs, Olympic Games, and he hits the fucking European champs to say. So he hits the highs for that. So he'll come in at that 100-meter race, and he'll be peaking on that night. And the night before, that night, or the night after, the day after, he's as fit and as strong and as fast and as explosive as he can ever get. And then he's got to come down. It's like a horse race, mate. You've got to send the horse out to pasture. Same as a fighter, same as an athlete in most sports, some sports. You can hit your peak and then you're there. So when you hit your peak, you're fucking super hyper vigilant. So I come into change rooms and I'm putting my gloves on, my trainer's putting my gloves on, he's talking to me, we're talking shit. I can hear my brother talking to someone, I can hear my mate who's on the door, not letting people in, having an argument with some fuckhead trying to get in. I'm having to listen to the referee at the same time, giving me instructions before the fight in the change rooms. And you're hearing all these things and you know what's going on. You'll be going, hey, mate. And because you're just so hyper vigilant. It's like, that movie Limitless.
Yeah. You're just fully on. You're fully on.
Yeah, you're popping.
Wow.
It's crazy. You miss that natural high, that natural fucking rush of just being in the best shape of your life. That's the part you miss too.
What about the come down?
Yeah.
What about, mate, I'm interested to know, and we talk about hitting peak performances and your elite state of mind, so to speak, and you're feeling good, you're looking good, your adrenaline's rushing, your confidence is an all-time high. And let's talk about, your world championship win, for example, and you've come off a big win. And then what's that after effect like? Because I want to see if it's anything like it, when I get up and deliver a talk at a keynote in front of 1,000 people, or I'm acting or whatever it is in my life, I have this high, and then after it, I crash severely. And it's really important to manage yourself on that downward trajectory, I'd like to call it.
Yeah. And it's no difference to my high and coming down. It's no different to your high and you're coming down. Whatever your high is, whatever that adrenaline rush is, where you're in front of 1,000 people, your adrenaline's jacking and, you're nervous, and then you hit it and you do well and you succeed and you give people, you've inspired people, you've given people something they can go home and take away from what your talk is. You feel good. You're like, it's even better. Sometimes you might do a talk, you might fight, you might not perform as well, you might be a bit flat, might not as, the come down might not be as much because you didn't get as high. Naturally. So, for you guys, anything where there's adrenaline and it's your high, it's the same feeling. So for me, we'd have that massive rush. And then I'd probably get in the piss, for a day or two with my mates and, celebrate. And it was, beer was my go, mate. I didn't do drugs or anything. It's just got the beer. Yeah. And that's the Irish in me. And so, have a bender for, a couple of days and just, enjoy the rush. And most times you didn't really need to drink because you're so excited, because you put in so much work and you've sacrificed so much. You've been away from your family for 8 weeks. You've been in a lot of physical pain during that time, and you might have gone through some in the fight, a lot in the fight. So the come down is just a natural, I wouldn't sleep for 2 days. Couldn't sleep because you're just like, fuck it. Just adrenaline kick it. Then the come down 3 or 4 days later, you wake up, go out and get in the coffee shop and you're kind of just a bit like, just a bit flat, because it's natural. Because when you dump that much adrenaline, your body comes down mentally and physically, because it's really about the adrenaline dump for an athlete myself, because you dump that much in the lead up, during the fight, after the fight, if you're successful, celebrating, etc. And the euphoria is just amazing. The change rooms after the fight, when my close family and friends, when you've won a big fight that you probably weren't supposed to win when you're an underdog and you win, change rooms after that fight is the part that I miss the most. The crowd after the fight is when you get
stuck up on my arms just thinking about it.
It's when you get back to the change rooms is the best part, mate, because then all your mates come in and only people that you want in there, that you love and are friends with and that love you, are in there. And it's just a killer fucking, it's like just a little hot box of
that vibe
of euphoria, mate. It's natural, it's real, it's natural. That's heavy. It's so good. And then, to drive home from the stadium when you've won and you're carrying your world title belt, you're with your family, you might have a tube in your hand and, you're driving to somewhere where there might be an afterpay. That's just such a great feeling, mate. And then ring your kids. Yeah, they're fucking pumping. Yeah, Dad, wicked. And then, but yeah, the come down, I manage it with training. So I manage that come down and that that low, because you go from here to here in a matter of days. I manage that with training. I train. So for me as a fighter, I was always in probably 80% condition 24/7, because I'd need to have that. Otherwise I'd go crazy and I would come down and I would, do stupid shit. So I just trained to keep my mind active and to keep my mind ticking over and to keep my mind, fresh. As I'd work my body hard, I'd fucking work myself into the ground very soon after the fight. If I could, there wasn't too many injuries, I'd just fucking work, mate, and train hard. And that was it, really.
So you just
and keep it simple, and just keep it real simple.
Yeah, wow. And then so literally after these massive achievements, you might have a day or two celebrating, but it's back to business as usual. Work hard, be disciplined. Yeah, mate, that's inspiring. And if I ask you this, what's been probably the most challenging time of your career when you're actively fighting? Were you ever at a time where you were like, I'm not cut out? Did you ever have inner critics going, I'm not cut out for this, I should throw the towel in, I should retire early, I'm not good enough? Did you ever have those internal self-doubts that most of us have self-doubts on a day-to-day basis, no matter how good we are?
Yeah, if I had say Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali or some legend of the fight game going, no, this guy's no good, he can't make it, he's too slow, he's too old, he's whatever it may be, then I'd be like, oh, far out. They're experts, they know their shit, they're the fucking legends, and they're saying I can't make it. Geez, that would have really put a nail in the coffin. Would have hammered you. But when the criticism is coming from people you don't know, and from some reporter who's hasn't seen his dick pissing since he was 25 years old because he's got too much of a gut, when you're hearing that he's saying that, or you're reading that he's saying that you've done this wrong, or you can't do this, you can't do that, I get amused by it. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Fuck, have you ever done, mate? You couldn't, you can't tie your shoelaces up. You telling me I can't do this? Come on, mate.
There's no facts. There's no facts in what they're saying. There's no facts. There's no validation behind it. Can't validate what they say because it's just it means nothing from you. So, if I was I never really took much notice of that, mate. It was people. For instance, if my old man had said, "Hey, you're fucking useless, mate," or not so you said you've lost your desire, you're too slow, mate, you're slurring your speech, or you got to walk away, or whatever it may be. If it come from someone that I loved and admired and respected, then that would have resonated a lot more than just some bozo on the street or some bozo on social media, or with all not much respect, some bozo writing a story who might have it in for you, because there are those kind of reporters out there. But I was really lucky, mate. I had a very good relationship with the media. I got burned a few times, but generally as a whole, I was lucky because I was straight up and down. So I think if someone was to write something that was derogatory and not true, I think they'd feel pretty stupid because I was pretty straight up and down. So I didn't really give them the opportunity to rip me in your arsehole or be pricks. But you got to wear it, mate. You take the good, the bad. But I guess, yeah, probably a long-winded answer, mate. I didn't really take much notice when people were talking and saying that I wasn't able to do it. It made me want to go harder because I knew in here. That's where I knew if I felt it and I wanted to do it, even if I couldn't do it and I was kidding myself, as long as I was doing the right thing and doing it for the right reasons, and I wasn't hurting anyone, what's the problem? Yeah, true.
I tell kids today, kids says, I want to go live games for soccer. I want you to be in the Australian soccer team. And then, you might hear someone say, he's fucking dreaming. And I know the kid's dreaming. He's dreaming. He ain't going to make the soccer team for Australia. But why would I bust him and say, mate, don't you let anyone tell you can't make it? Because even if he does, eventually when he does fail, but all the good things he's done before that failure, and hopefully he's grown and matured as a person, and he sees, hey, I'm not good enough now, but I didn't realise it. But nothing wrong with that guy going through 10 years of striving and trying, and all the good things he's achieved, and all the positives he's achieved during that time, all the friends he's made.
The lessons he's learned.
And he's uplifted himself. If someone had said, no, you can't do that 10 years ago, where would the kid be in 10 years' time? You don't know.
Yeah, true. Very important, mate. I like that. It's a lovely point to make clear. Yeah, mate, it's amazing. So with I want to ask one more question before we move on and talk about this great work that you've done with the Coward Punch campaign, mate. I think it's amazing. as far as Mundine goes, you and Mundine, we look at the media, mate. I'm an avid boxer fan, mate. I've met you a number of times. You're an amazing man. You read media, you watch news outlets. A lot of it's for the sale of tickets, for a better word to say it. But what's the relationship like with Anthony Mundine?
Yeah, we don't have one.
You don't?
So, nah, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. No, there's no relationship there, mate.
Okay.
I don't know him personally, really. I mean, I don't know him. The first time I ever saw him in the flesh was when we fought in 2006. I'd never seen the guy actually in the flesh.
Wow.
We had separate weigh-ins, separate press conferences because, the fuckwits that were around him would have caused trouble, and they would have done their best to cause trouble because they're fuckwits. And there's a couple of really good guys around, but there was also, I reckon he's trimmed the fat over the years, but there was some real fuckheads, and they just big mouth fuckheads who are going to cause trouble. Who so they would have said something stupid, would have started something, and to say something crazy to myself and my friends, and maybe throw a bit of mud. Then the mud gets thrown back, and so we didn't want that, mate.
Yeah, no.
And
clear.
Or as much as I would like to let my mates, off the chain and let them slap these bozos, it would have been a bad look. But anyway, I never really met him. We did a few press conferences, and then we did the Jungle Show, but we fought before that. We had press conferences, and I really don't know the guy that well. People say, it's all just to sell tickets or to sell the hype and to make pay-per-view figures higher. Nothing to do with that. I genuinely don't know. He generally doesn't really know me. I don't dislike the man. I disagree with some of the things he said. I agree with some of the things he said, though. There's lots of things he said I agree with. And so his delivery was very poor, though. He had very poor delivery in what he was trying to get across. He couldn't get across what he was trying to say because his delivery wasn't the best. And he said some ridiculous, stupid things that harmed him. Didn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. All I care about is that I'm a better fighter. That's all I give a shit about. I know I'm a better fighter. Unfortunately, I didn't get to prove it in the first one. Second one, I won the fight, but I didn't get to knock him out. And I just know I've fought better fighters. I've beaten better fighters than him. My resume is better than his on paper, let alone in the ring. But all I care about is I'm a better fighter. Nothing else. Matters. That's all. And he thinks that he's a better fighter than me. And so he's going to go to his grave saying, I'm a better fighter than Eddie Green. So I just said my name like a wanker because I'm used to hearing him say it. He's going to say, I'm a better fighter than me. And then I'm going to go to my grave knowing I'm a better fighter. And that's where the competitiveness comes in between us, mate. It's nothing personal. Yeah, our beef and our dislike and our rivalry is absolutely genuine. There's no bullshit. It's absolutely genuine. Yeah, but when you get older and you simmer a bit and you have a bit of wisdom, a bit of time to reflect, it's nothing personal. I'm just a better fighter than him. And that's it. And I do know, and I know a lot of people around him, because I know a lot of people in the Indigenous culture, mate, and always have been, involved with the Indigenous culture. And he probably didn't realise that from a long way back. He called me the white shit. I've always brought up race and religion. Never ever did I bring it up because I don't want to bring it up. It's nothing to do with a fighter. You're just a fighter, mate. I don't give a fuck who you are or what you are or what race or religion you are. I just want to pump you. And so, it comes down to that. But at the end of the day, I know that he does some good things in his community and the general community. And he's not a bad. He's by all accounts, he's a good fellow with a good heart. He'll give you the shirt off his back. I care more about Warren. I prefer to look into more of the positives about a bloke than worrying what some bozo on the street says. And what I laugh about too, it's some guy goes, "Oh mate, I'd beat him, or I could beat that bloke." Oh, he can't fight, mate. The guy was a world champion. He was a fucking incredible fighter and a first grade premiership player for rugby league. Like, who does that? Two very tough sports, and he conquers both of them in one lifetime. That's a pretty special individual, mate.
No, mate, it's thanks for sharing, mate. I appreciate it. It was something I wanted to ask, and mate answered it like a true champion, mate, and I appreciate that. As far as 12 rounds go, mate, I see these things, mate, they're popping up everywhere. What's the go here? What's doing?
Yeah, we started that in 2014. I've got two gyms here in Perth where I live, Sammy, called Green Zone Fitness, and they're big at 24 hours.
I've been at one, remember? Training there.
Oh, that's good.
Danny hosted the 24-hour suicide prevention run in Perth, mate. It was amazing. Great setup.
you and Lauren by memory.
Lauren, myself, and Edwin Asatasi.
That's right, Edwin, Big Ed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, first one, it was 2015, I think.
Yeah.
14. Anyway, so one there and one in Joondalup, but they're bigger 24-hour ones, and they're kind of one-stop shop for everything. But the 12-round fitness one is a franchise we started. We didn't realise where it was going to go. We had an idea, had a concept. Let's mix boxing with functional training. Everyone loves boxing, but they don't want to get hit. They want to use boxing as a way to get fit. And then functional training is obviously, I've always done the functional training. So I've always been doing those sledgehammering tyres, running around with a tyre attached to my back off a belt. I'm just doing, a lot of body weight stuff. I've never really been involved in heavy lifting because it's detrimental to my sport to fight in a weight division unless I was a heavyweight. So I've always been involved in that functional training, obviously boxing. So I want to mix the two together and put them in one concept. So we tried it in my first gym here, and it went really well. People loved it. So my partners are from Brisbane, and we opened the first one over in Brisbane, in the city there. It went gangbusters. In 2016, we sold our first franchise in Brisbane as well. And then we've got 78 around the country, and 2 in New Zealand and 1 in Singapore, and we're looking to the UK. And we'll be in the States pretty soon, Sammy. We're coming to the West Coast very soon. Within a year, we'll be over there, mate.
Really?
Yeah.
Mate, that's amazing.
Yeah, we're looking really strongly in West Hollywood, in also Culver City.
Yep, not far from here, mate. I reckon it'd be an amazing market over here. Boxing's becoming more and more accessible to people. People want to do it for obviously the fitness benefits. But mate, can you tell me a bit more about the functional training with the boxing twist to it and the importance that has on, I'm sure you've spoken to people through the gym day in, day out that say how much this benefits their psyche, their mental health, their well-being, their physical health.
Sammy, I was only ever in fight gyms. So I didn't really go to gyms, apart from going to a fight gym around the world. So I was never really involved in commercial gyms as such, fitness gyms, until I had my own. And then I realised that gymnasiums are a place for people who are lonely. Gymnasiums are a place for people who want to go there to get therapy, who, just like me, when my mental therapy was to train, to push my body, to use that energy, to get rid of the energy, get rid of the adrenaline, dump the adrenaline, and then, start again. So I've realised that gyms are really a place for people who want to be involved, they want to be a part of something. So I was really conscious of that early on, and to form a good culture where, some gyms, mate, it's just full of jerks who just, pump the gear and just think they're all that, and they just take photos themselves.
There's no community. There's no community at all in those gyms. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I didn't want that. And so, the gyms we've got in the green zones, the number one feedback we get is about our culture. And it's a wanky word, but the culture and the community and the atmosphere and the environment, people just feel part of a family there. And that's what we want. And especially people who are lonely or suffering physically or mentally, hey, come in. It's a sanctuary for them. They feel safe there. They feel secure, and they feel part of something. That's the main thing, is they feel part of a big group. They feel part of a small family. It's a big group, but it's a small family. It's really it's really cool. And so the 12 rounds experience is similar, mate, similar to that.
And it's very important. You hit it on the head there. I mean, finding purpose for people and being involved in something greater than themselves is very therapeutic for the most part, and it helps. So
we get so many people come down, mate, and they just don't belong in the gym. They're physically, like, they hardly even lift. They're just happy to cruise along, sit in a treadmill at 5Ks an hour, walk. G'day, mate, how you going? Have a chat, have a yak to someone. Go in the back, they might pump out at 2 push-ups and then sit and just sit on machines doing things that they don't know what they're doing. And I'll walk over, hey, try this. Yeah, thanks. And I'll tell them exactly how to do it. And then the next day they're doing the same thing they were doing the day before. But they're just happy to be there, mate. They're happy to be part of it and just to feel welcome and to feel secure and feel part of something. And that's what I love more than offering an amazing facility, an amazing concept that people can get fit and strong and healthy with. I love more the fact that they can be part of a club or a family and feel wanted, or know that they are wanted, and feel happy and feel part. Hey, that's my family, it's my friends. That's what I like more than the actual fitness, boxing, functional stuff. That's all black and white shit, mate.
It's all the byproduct, really, isn't it?
We have to, the boxing, we have to know our stuff with boxing. We have to be teaching and guiding people safely with the functional stuff. They have to be safe. They have to be secure. They have to be getting better. They have to achieve their goals. Otherwise, they're not going to come back. What's more important for me is making sure the trainers are aware of who needs Who needs a bit of lifting up that day? Who needs a bit of, who needs hammering and pushing to get their fix mentally? Who needs to work really hard to get their fix up here? It's more about here. Gyms is way more about here than it is here.
Yeah. Mentally, definitely. I agree more, mate. I agree very much with that, especially, you could say an escape place where you can go and escape and deal with, emotions, feelings, and get them all out on the table and feel good, get that positive endorphins rolling around, meet new people. It's a great place. Like if you're lonely and you go to a place that's very community driven, what an amazing place to meet other like-minded people that, you probably get along with very well.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
No, that's awesome, mate. Well, I'm looking forward to it. You let me know when they pop up over here. I'll have to join up.
Will do, Sammy.
That being said, mate, I want to know, and before we wrap up, I want to talk about the Coward Punch campaign. Where did that come from? What was the burning desire for you to make a stance in that regard? And try and make a change, because, mate, you are making a change, and I see it in the headlines every now and then. So obviously you're doing something correctly. Where did it all come from, mate?
It's about people getting killed for no reason, and people smashing people for no reason, thinking they're tough. You see them on YouTube, you see so much on social media, people cracking people and thinking they're tough, but cracking them for no reason. I don't have a problem with two guys having a fight. It's no problem. It's an age-old way to work out a difference. Sometimes you see it, and it's two guys that are organised and they're having a fight, and they're sorting the differences out. If it's a fair fight and it's okay, and something happens, if two guys, me and you go, hey, I don't like you, mate, and let's sort that shit out, and we agree to it, and we get outside and you get hurt, well, mate, you sign up for it. It's not as bad as just someone walking over and just going, bang, and just cracking someone for no reason or little to no reason. They might bump him and then that's it, because they're pissed or they're high. They go and do that, and I just got tired of people thinking they're tough, and especially nowadays, people applaud it, they clap it and they applaud it. When someone knocks someone out from behind, well, you're weak as piss. So I want to try and the ball was wrong, and it's made an ad and paid for it, and got it filmed, and then it was on TV and approached your government, and then here we are now, 8 years later. It's just gone gangbusters, and got federal funding for it. And this, we do an annual dinner in Melbourne, and it's had a lot of traction. We're now judges and magistrates are handing down decisions referencing the term Coward's Punch. So
I saw that, mate. That's huge. Front
page newspapers, Coward's Punch. So it's more about, it's an awareness campaign. We don't raise money. It's a non-for-profit. Like, we don't know. I'm being paid a Zach for 8 years. It's cost me a shitload to do it, but it's what it is, mate. And it's more about, in 10, 15, 20 years time, some bloke's out and about and he thinks he's going to go and crack someone and sort someone out because he doesn't like them, but he's got no real problem with them, and he's not going to sort it out face-to-face as a man. He'll do it, from behind. Well, hopefully his mates will go, don't do that, mate. Or himself, it might trigger Coward's Punch, because, to get caught coward's a shit thing. Yeah. So it's more just a branding thing. It's a branding exercise. Yeah. Like slip, slop, slap, like drink driving, like quit smoking. It's taken 30, 40 years of continuous pumping the psyche of the public. Hey, put a hat on, put some sunscreen on, put sunnies on, what it may be when you're out in the sun. People are still dying from it, but it's dramatically reduced the numbers. Drink driving. Not many people, drink drive anymore and quit smoking. A lot of people give up smoking, so people still do it. They're still dying, but it's fixed.
I think it's very similar with, the message "It ain't weak to speak," and empowering people to speak up and seek help that might be suicidal, that might be struggling right now with a diagnosable mental illness or having a really rough, shitty day. It's all part of the awareness, because that message definitely does get through. As best as we can, mate. That's cool. And to see that on, getting handed down now via sentences and judges, and it's on paper, and you're getting great traction with it, mate. It's a testament to the work and the resources and the time that, mate, you've no doubt put into it. So congratulations on that. I think you've
boom back at you, mate. Boom back at you, buddy. Boom back at you, mate.
Yeah, thanks.
What you're living, yeah, mate. It's great. It's huge. It's you see it everywhere now, and you know what it is. Before, you might have seen the Living T-shirt. You go, oh, what is that? What's that about? But now everyone knows. And and as you've done, mate, it takes time. Just you got to pepper away, and just keep chipping away. Yeah, just keep persisting and keep staying true to why you're doing it, what you're up to. And I think it's remarkable how you've reframed the whole thing. From going from a one punch or a king hit, which are normally accoladed as probably in some people's lives is like a cool thing. Now you've flipped it all on its head and said it's a coward's punch.
I love it, mate. I think it's I think it's unreal.
Cheers, bud.
But mate, I do appreciate all of the time that you've spent here. I know that you get about to get your gear on to go for a wave. So mate, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate your time, your insights, your wisdoms. No doubt that this will inspire our listeners in some way, shape, or form. Mate, please look after yourself. Let's stay in touch. And mate, like always, keep living.
Yeah, good on you, Sammy. Keep up the great work you're doing, buddy. You're helping out a lot of crew, mate. It's it's pretty cool to see, especially a young fella. And you've been doing it for a long time. It's been going a long time. So you've obviously had that seed that you've planted, and it's really grown. It's germinated. It's flourished. So well done to you, buddy. Congratulations.
Big round of applause to the team, mate. Very similar to your journey with boxing and everything else. Surrounding yourself with the right people has certainly got Living to where it is today. And, we thank all of our Living community. So wouldn't be possible without it, man. But I appreciate all the time, and I'll let you get.
Stay in touch, mate. We can do it again down the track some other time with something different.
Yeah, mate. Absolutely.
Anytime, buddy.
Any updates on that? Yeah, for sure.
And look after yourself. Stay safe over there, Sammy, and keep in touch, buddy. And hope to see you one day for a surf, mate.
Sounds good, mate. Thanks so much, Danny. Have a good day, bro.
All right, legend. See you, Sammy.
See you, mate. See you later.
See you, bud.
See
Bye.
Ya.